Hello and welcome. Let's take a look at our top story. The war in Ukraine has brought the world a near daily drumbeat of gut-wrenching scenes. Civilian corpses on the streets, chaos at train stations, blown-up buildings, and a war at Europe's borders. It's the worst armed conflict since World War II. After 100 days of conflict, let's understand how this has had an impact on a global level. The Ukraine war has resulted in the worst refugee crisis in Europe since World War II. About 6.9 million people have been driven out of Ukraine. But since the fighting subsided in parts, 2.2 million have returned to the country. Currently, there are more than 7.7 million internationally displaced people in Ukraine. Apart from Poland, Germany and the Czech Republic are currently hosting the largest number of refugees. It was a war between Russia and Ukraine, but one that has affected the rest of the world. The economic fallout of the war is being felt globally. To condemn Russia, the West has sanctioned Moscow, which gave birth to oil and gas crisis, something that the Kremlin has called a fallout of the bloc's short-sightedness. Now, as we speak, Europe is finally beginning to wean itself from its dependence on Russian energy, but that can't happen overnight. After all, Russia is the largest exporter of natural gas worldwide. It is the second largest supplier of crude oil and the third largest coal exporter. So the bloc has set 2030 as the limit to drastically cut use of Russian gas and fossil fuels. Till then, maximizing gas storage is one point in the plan. Import of liquid natural gas from countries like the US is another stopgap option. The fallout has also driven up the costs for basic goods. Ukraine is an important breadbasket, producing around half of the world's sunflower oil. Ukraine accounts for 15% of global trade in corn and 10% of global wheat trade. So for the countries relying on Ukraine, it has been a nightmare. Ukraine has reported suffering a staggering economic blow. 35% of its GDP has been wiped out by the war. It has been unable to export some 22 million tons of grain. It blames the backlog of shipments on Russian blockades. UN Security Council warned in May that hunger levels around the world have reached a new high and that tens of millions could face a long-term famine due to the war. Shortages of both food and energy have given birth to another crisis, inflation. The food price index reached an all-time high in March of this year. The index measures monthly change in prices for a basket of food commodities. In the Eurozone, inflation reached 8.1% last month, which is a record high. Like other crises, inflation is predicted to hit lower-income countries even harder. Russia's invasion has left its mark on geopolitics as well. The war has unmasked two things. One, Europe is united by morals, but is divided over economy. This is also showing cracks in the NATO bloc. The North American Treaty Organization was founded after World War II in 1949. It was created for crises like these. Now, where there is a blueprint to tackle security threats, like the Article 5, which says an attack on one is an attack on all, but the war is making the bloc rethink many of its policies. For now, NATO continues its delicate dance of remaining steadfast, but it is treading lightly so that it will not trigger World War III.
Yeah, I'm saying this.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.